The Abyss Part 3. Before I talk about the special features that are on the Laserdisc, I'd like to talk a bit about the structure of the film. Billy Wilder used to say that the structure of the movie is based on a clean line of action, a really clear line of action, which means that your character should have a goal, and fulfilling that goal is what the movie is about. So, for example, Lord of the Rings is just take the ring and throw it in Mount Doom. That's it. And that's 12 hours of movie. Jason Bourne, get 3 movies out of Who Am I? Find out my name's David. So Jaws, kill the shark. Your movie should have, or your story should have, a very clear, defined goal. And the audience wants you to achieve that goal. And everything that is stopping you from achieving that goal is the plot. How do I get from A to B, or A to D, or A to Z? And I'm in this labyrinth of everything conspiring against me. That includes the other characters, that includes the environment. Everything is conspiring against me getting what it is that I want. So that clean line of action is really important. But some films don't have a singular clean line of action. And that would, like say, for example, Star Wars. In Star Wars, the clear line of action is save the princess. It's really clean.
I want to come with you to Alderaan. There's nothing for me here now. I want to learn the ways of the Force and become a Jedi like my father.
That's the goal. Save the princess. So again, a Millennium Falcon, however we get there, all that kind of stuff happens. And eventually we save the princess and the audience goes, yay, we achieved our goal.
That's it! We did it!
We did it!
The thing about Star Wars, it creates a brand new goal. Because now they have R2-D2, and he's got the plans for the Death Star, and now it's, well, we need to destroy the Death Star, because now they know where our base is, and they're coming to kill us. So it's a reset in the story into a brand new goal. In The Abyss, it's a similar sort of thing to Star Wars, in that the goal is the rescue mission. We're going to rescue or go to the nuclear subsite and see if there are any survivors. And these Navy SEALs are going to be the ones that we're assisting. But the Navy SEALs come with their own goal, which is to take the nuclear warhead out of that submarine. It was intact, so they're going to remove it so that others can't get it. That goal is not known to us, the audience, or the crew, and becomes a major part of the conflict throughout a lot of the film is them understanding that this nuclear warhead is now on board and what are they going to do with it, and the fight with the Navy SEAL who's gone clearly crazy.
Come here.
So once the goal is achieved, partway through the movie, a new goal has to come into play. And in The Abyss, through various action scenes, the nuclear warhead is lost into the Mariana Trench and is armed. So it's going to blow. So the goal then becomes to disarm the bomb. And I guess the question for the audience is this as interesting as what had happened before? And that's the challenge for the filmmaker here. You know, the blowing up of the Death Star which happens quite quickly in terms of like getting it going. You know, as soon as they're back on the rebel base, it's boots are on the ground. They're going to attack the Death Star because it's coming for them. In The Abyss, I guess the question is the new goal as exciting or interesting as what had happened previous to it, and that's sort of where it becomes sort of more of a difficult, because there's a real shift in the tone and change in the pace of the film. Definitely a change in the pace because everything that's happened up to it has been pretty exciting, and now it is a matter of going down and trying to disarm this bomb, and then all the science fiction stuff that happens. So it really alters the pace of the film. I don't know if the audience intellectually understands it, but you sort of feel it. For me, one of the interesting examples was always the film The Hangover. So The Hangover it's what happened to the groom and what happened last night. That's the whole goal of the movie. Let's find out what happened to the groom. We got to get him to his wedding. That's a tick-tock moment. We got to get him to the wedding, and we don't know where he is, and we have no idea what happened last night. And I always found that in The Hangover, when they find the groom, it sort of deflates the story a bit. Now it's okay, when I get him to the wedding.
I found him! He's over here! He's okay!
But I don't know if I really care that much about his wedding. I just want to know what happened the night before. So it deflates the movie a little bit, and I think structurally there's something to be said for that. It's something to be very aware of if you're making a film. There's nothing right or wrong about it. It's just a challenge that you have in understanding that your film is going to have kind of a reset, and the audience has to sort of reposition itself emotionally. So I think that's what's going on in The Abyss. So to the special features of The Abyss, one of the things included is a great documentary.
On the first day of shooting, Jim looks at us and says, "Hello, boys. Welcome to my nightmare."
Let's roll camera. This is scene 59, take 1. And action.
Going over the wall.
It's an hour-long documentary on the making of the film. I think you can find it on the internet if you search it out. And it's really terrific to show you just how logistically difficult it is to make a film, and to make a film like this. And it gives you respect, whether you like the movie or not, for what goes into making a movie of this magnitude. And it's easy for us to sit in a movie theater or a TV and watch it, but to see that everything that goes into making a film it's a massive undertaking. Anyone who's even made a small movie, a short 5 or 10 minute film can tell you it's a lot of work. So to make a film of this size is a huge undertaking.
3 times the volume of B-Tank, A-Tank will be the true test of Cameron's vision for underwater filmmaking. It will push cast and crew to the limits of their ability and beyond.
I think this documentary on making the film is to me, as entertaining as, say, a Hearts of Darkness on the making of Apocalypse Now. Where everything is conspiring against Francis Coppola making that movie. Finances and the jungle, the Philippine government where he's renting his helicopters, and it's just everything is just going against you, and you just end up working at a snail's pace because you've bitten off way more than you can chew. Burden of Dreams about Werner Herzog's Fitzcarraldo is a great documentary, pulling a riverboat over a mountain in a period piece without the use of modern machinery.
Ja, Klaus, komm! Sergeant! Solo! Sergeant! Da, schwenk dahin!
And Jaws. We talked about Jaws as, from a character point of view. Logistically, Jaws, of course, a nightmare to film.
Background action!
Because every little thing, especially when you get on the water, becomes magnified. And that seasickness of the crew. The changing of light in the horizon's always changing. The waves, what day is it going to be? Windy today or not windy? Anyone who's been out in a boat knows that day to day it can be calm waters, and then it's going to be rough waters, and then calm, and a little thing like a sailboat shows up in on the edge of screen, and then starts making its way across on a wide shot, and takes it an hour to go from one side of the horizon to another, and all the while you're sitting and waiting. Nowadays, of course, you can digitally paint those things out quite effectively, but back when they made Jaws, they didn't have that, the ability to just go painting out a sailboat. Nowadays it'd be super simple. Films like Waterworld, where your sets get totally destroyed, they didn't learn the lessons from Jaws, to say that maybe water is not the best thing you should be filming on. And even closer to today, The Revenant, had a ton of troubles because they wanted to shoot in winter, and they wanted to shoot at magic hour, which is when the sun sun goes down and there's still light in the sky, and it's this beautiful twilight. And so they give themselves basically an hour and a half of shooting a day in winter. And winter, once you start going over time and winter starts to go away to spring, and then you've got to start moving your production for Alberta into colder climates, eventually making their way to Argentina. The other thing that's great is all the extras on the use of miniatures in the film. So the use of miniatures, which they really started to call, I can't remember who coined it, bigatures, where you create a underwater submarine miniature. It's not a miniature like your train set that goes through your uncle's attic or something like that. They're quite large scale models. Ironically, with all the practical effects, it really is laying the groundwork for the CG world to come. The Water Tentacle was a digital creature that comes out of the water, eventually takes on a human face, able to mimic characters in the film. And it's the precursor to T-1000, the metal man in Terminator 2. And of course, Industrial Light and Magic is working on all this technology, and that eventually makes its way to Jurassic Park and Bob's Your Uncle. The digital world has begun.
I told you, Bob's your uncle.
It's a really innovative film that way, yet still has a huge amount of these practical effects within it. You don't have to look, much further than the modern day where they've gone back to some of those effects. When they redid Star Wars and or Mad Max Fury Road, where you're just like, we're going to go back to these hardcore practical effects. The great thing about practical effects is once you shoot them, they're shot. The problem with digital is that once you're working in a computer, well, it's infinite amount of changes that you can make to something. And that really slows things down in the post-production, where people keep changing their minds on, say, design even. I think the Hedgehog movie, they changed the whole design of the character. So once you're in the digital realm, you've got so many opportunities to change your mind. Whereas once you're working in a physical realm, you're committed to it. And I think even The Mandalorian had some really cool stuff like that. Even though you are sort of in a digital, you're capturing it in the camera, and it works a lot better than just constantly doing digital set extensions. Cameron is, of course, fully embraced his digital self in the Avatar films, but it's impressive to see these old practical effects. One of the things I want to end with is that there's movies that you'd like to see in the theater, and I never saw Abyss in the theater, and I thought it would be great to have seen it in the theater. It's like a really theatrical film. And other movies that I've regretted not seeing in the theater was Master and Commander. I loved Master and Commander, and I thought, this is a movie for the movie theater. As was Hugo. I didn't see Hugo or Mad Max Fury Road, and kind of kicked myself because I think, those films are the films that you want to see in a movie theater. They're made for movie theaters. They're made for that large scale experience, that amplification. Some of my favorite films I've seen in the theater, when they re-released them, like Das Boot. Was amazing in the movie theater with a 5.1 surround sound, totally exhausting, not like The Abyss, very claustrophobic. And then The Maltese Falcon or The Godfather, Apocalypse Now Redux, they really do lend themselves to a movie theater. I saw the re-release of Blade Runner. I think I'd seen the original in the theater as well, about in the 1990s when they did the re-release of it. So those movies really lend themselves to that big screen experience. And some smaller intimate films, do as well. And the Maltese Falcon is a good example of that, where it's a lot funnier. The performances are amplified.
This is the second time that you've laid hands on me. When you're slapped, you'll take it and like it.
I actually saw Grease once in a theater, and Travolta's performance is quite funny when you see it amplified on the theater, all the little things he does that really come through. So all you film purists who came here for The Abyss, you leave for the Grease. I'm going to leave The Abyss now, though. I'm going to surface, and hopefully we'll talk about some more movies. Again, I'm not here to flame movies. I'm here to celebrate them. So got a bunch of things coming up that I think will be fun, and I will see you later.
Arrivederci, honey pot. Sayonara, lammykins.